believe it or not everyone solves their problems with their fists.
2 girls?
2.
You want to tag along for an exorcism?
Yep.
That's out of the bloody question, love.
Well, we gave you its name, so you owe us.
Well, I gave you your soul, so you owe me indefinitely.
All the more reason for me to help you.
How is Fitz even here?
No, he just showed up out of nowhere with his own spaceship.
It's a baller move. Not to mention the whole bounty hunter look he's rocking.
I still prefer my cardigans.
To the Fandom Zone episode 137 for the week ending May 12th, 2018. I'm Karen.
And I'm Charles. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fandom Zone.
Yay! 2 weeks in a row.
I know. It's a new record.
It is a new record.
Actually, 2 episodes in less than a week.
That's true. 3 if you count Ghostwood.
That's true, because you were on Ghostwood. So, yeah, everybody, check out Ghostwood 33, episode 33. It's called Dual Spires. And Karen, our lovely Karen, was kind enough to sit in with Zan Sprouse and I. She got to meet Zan for the first time.
That was amazing.
And we talked a little Twin Peaks, of course, but we also talked a lot of the episodes from an episode of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Correct. That was a tribute to Twin Peaks.
Right.
And since I am in love with the show Psych.
Right. She was our resident psych-spert.
A psych-spert.
Psych-spert.
That's right. I went on the show and we had a great time. So please check out Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast, episode 33, Dual Spires. And
please do.
Man, I had a great time. It was so much fun.
These two... Oh my God, Zan and Karen just played off each other so well.
I had such a great time.
Because they're both big Psych fans. So they knew what each other was talking about, and it was great. And my 2 podcast worlds were colliding once
in
again.
A good way. In a good way.
I was decidedly outnumbered, but in a good way.
We bonded over our love of Lenny Von Dolan as well. So there was
if you know who that is.
There was Electric Dreams or Twin Peaks.
Right.
Either of those 2 things.
Well, we loved having you on there, Karen, and you're welcome back anytime you want to come on.
That's
I know
fantastic.
We're talking Twin Peaks, but you're welcome back anytime.
Cool.
Open invitation.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to talk about Fandom Zone shows, and today we'll be discussing Legion 206, Chapter 14, Krypton 108, Savage Night, Gotham 421, One Bad Day, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D 521, The Force of Gravity. And boy, all really solid episodes.
Big episodes.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're getting down to the season or perhaps series finales on some of these shows.
Don't say it.
Yeah, because I think we're definitely going to have to talk Lucifer next week.
Yeah, we are.
Because that will be the series finale, as fortunately.
Well, and it's a cliffhanger, apparently.
Apparently it's a cliffhanger because, the showrunners thought, hey, we'll do a cliffhanger. There's no way they can not, renew us. Well, guess what?
Yeah, exactly. They decided.
Guess what? They didn't because, hey, the showrunner forgot he works for Fox.
Right. He got canceled, and they're going to get canceled on this huge cliffhanger, even though there's 2 episodes that they already filmed that were supposed to air in the fall. They were canceled, and Lord knows.
I don't suppose NBC could pick up Lucifer just like they did Brooklyn 99.
I doubt it.
Because they did pick that show up.
They did, which is amazing. I was so happy about that.
Yeah, apparently a lot of people. And apparently we have Mark Hamill to thank for that.
Yep, we do. We do.
So, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, Mark, how about throwing Lucifer some love?
How about it?
Hashtag save Lucifer.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. But yeah, if I had to pick between Gotham and Lucifer, I think I'd pick Gotham, to be honest, because Lucifer has not been nearly as strong this season.
I mean, we're not going to talk about the episode, but I think in general this season, I think they made 2 fatal errors. One was that they continued to drag out the Chloe not knowing Lucifer is the devil for reals.
Right.
And 2, they made Mazikeen, one of the most likable characters on the show, unlikable.
Correct. That is their biggest flaw, I think, is making Maze into this very frustratingly horrible character this season.
Right. I mean, she put down Trixie.
Right.
Which right there is like the kiss of death. Unforgivable,
yeah. And, yeah.
So is that bad. I have no idea what the hell they were thinking with that.
I don't either. So yeah, I don't want it to get canceled because I do love that show, but
you would understand why.
Yeah, I can understand why. Yes.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it would be nice if it came back somehow and erased a lot of these mistakes.
Correct. It would be nice if it could go out on a better note. Yes.
Yes, I would like to see that. All right. So we'll probably talk about the series finale of Lucifer next week.
Right.
And because we have about 3 more season finales.
Yeah.
So maybe we should talk about those next week as well.
Right. We may have a little bigger episode next week.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
because I'm sure you want to also talk about some Legion.
I'm sure I will want to talk about
on top of all these
Legion.
other season finales.
Yeah.
So
this Legion was insane, speaking of which, so let's segue right into that.
You see what I did there? Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Master of the Segways. So this is episode 6.
Ooh, I'm going to get that on a shirt.
Master of the Segways.
Master of the Segway.
Episode 6 of season 2, chapter 14, and they have the worst names as we've talked about before, but you named this episode Crisis on Infinite Davids, which I think is brilliant.
Right. That's what it is. It's Crisis on Infinite Davids.
Yeah, the best name ever for this episode.
If you know the Marv Wolfman and George Perez maxi series, classic maxi series from the 80s, Crisis on Infinite Earths, you probably get an idea of why I named this episode that title, because it's pretty much that.
Right.
And it was written by Noah Hawley, showrunner, directed by John Cameron.
Now, is this the John Cameron, or is this
No, you're thinking of James
Cameron. Okay, so this is a whole different.
This is probably like his second cousin twice removed, Cameron.
Well, I'm glad it's not James Cameron, because
let my Cameron go.
That's the first name, Cameron.
That's true. Cameron Fry.
That's right. Okay, so I have 5 storyline titles, and I actually missed one. I missed the guy in the diner.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
But I don't know. He would be like Meth David, I guess.
David.
Meth Head David.
Crackhead David.
Crackhead David. Yeah, whatever. But anyway, I have A through D stories. I'm just going to go down through these. Rich man, poor man, beggar man, grief.
Instead of thief.
Right.
We are aware of this.
Right. And then Six Flags David, which is old man, bald David.
Right. So just to kind of give you a very quick general overview, this episode focuses on several incarnations of David Haller at various points in time. Some of these timelines intersect.
Correct.
And they were basically revealed that some of these Davids are the same David. Mm-hmm. Maybe all of them, for all we know, are the same David. And who knows? But at least some of them are the same David. And it's pretty fascinating, I thought.
It was super fascinating. And it's almost like you could trace it back to a certain point, like if he took his meds regularly or...
Well, I mean, and that's kind of brought up in the story, because they do have one David that's essentially like Doc Brown from Back to the Future David.
Yeah.
You know, they're talking about they bring this up, the divergent timelines.
Right.
And
so that would be the crackhead David, is that?
Essentially, it'd be like, quantum. It's more like he's on speed or something.
Yeah,
some kind of methamphetamine.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's like, but apparently he's like quantum physics David, because he's all into the idea of alternate realities, roads not taken, and that certain actions can create these divergent timelines.
Right.
And
he explained it by saying, I could be your teacher in one timeline, or I could be sitting here in this diner showing you with fries
right
how it works, or you could be in a movie theater, or you could be, and he's going through all these things. But in the meantime, we're also seeing all these other timelines, and they're fascinating. Interspersed throughout, we're also seeing our David. Right. And we're seeing a couple of Davids with different time periods as well.
Right.
So
if only he hadn't gone to the future and got the copy of that sports almanac and brought it back, and then like young Biff got a hold of the copy given to him by old Biff,
and Trump wouldn't be president now.
Exactly, because this is the darkest timeline.
Right. Right.
I just merged Back to the Future with Community there.
You did, and Legion, all three of them amalgamated into one thing. Okay, so we did see our David, and we saw our David during the episode, not just at the end. We saw him during the episode, where he's sitting with Amy, and we saw bits and pieces of him where it was familiar to us because he was dressed the same way, but it was where we hadn't seen that part of him before. So he was talking to Amy about, like, I guess Amy was going to get married, and she was saying, well, you could be happy too. And he's like, I don't think she's the girl for me. And, I'm damaged. And, and she said, well, you could be taking your meds. And, so there was a bit of our David, like pre-Clockworks, definitely.
Right. And that was one of the things I found interesting, that maybe, this was an alternate reality David where we see that David going to Clockworks, or we finally get the origin of David going to Clockworks.
No, I think that was our David going to Clockworks.
You think that was our David?
I do. Okay. I do very much so. I think that was literally them showing...
Right, because they show him being dropped off at Clockworks and...
Yep, I think that was our David being dropped off at Clockworks by Amy, and because at the end when they flash to our David throughout his life, they flash all that stuff, all the Clockwork stuff, and then all the way up through the ending of last episode.
Right. So all the stuff we saw like in season 1. And so on.
Right. They flash from when she drops him off at Clockworks, like flash, 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 all the way up, like when he sees Sid, with all the stuff that happens.
The first encounter with Division 3.
Correct. In the pool and all that stuff. I mean, the stuff out in the woods, seeing Oliver get pushed back into the elevator shafts. He sees all these little flashes, and then it ends with him finding out that Lenny's body is actually Amy's body.
Right.
At the end of that little...
Which does not go over well, as you might imagine.
Right. So that would be the grief part of my...
Yes. Yeah, because... and then Farouk is telling David what he decides is real.
Right. And that's why I think that David throughout this episode is our David, because it ends up with that flashing throughout. Right. Now, the other storylines are definitely not our David, obviously. Richman is a David who is working for a corporation. Right. And he's probably on some sort of medication, but not one that dulls his senses very much. Right. But just enough that he can't really hold a big time job. He's like getting
he's essentially like the low man on the totem pole. He's the guy that goes out and gets coffees. For
he's a gopher. Yeah,
exactly.
And he's
coffee.
He's getting supervised big time by this other guy, but he's in a meeting room where they're having a meeting about some sort of merger. And by the way, Seamus Dever is there as one of the bad guys. He was on Castle, and it took me out of the of the episode for just a minute.
You're like, Castle guy.
Yeah. So they're having this this thing where the corporation that David works for, they're trying to sign this merger agreement, but the other side of the table is hiding stuff from them. And David, of course, hears them
telepathically.
Right, hears them hiding stuff, and he is, saying, "Don't sign it, don't sign it." And
he kind of warns this one female executive,
right?
That hey, you might not want to take the deal because they're hiding this.
Right.
Or maybe you should ask them about this.
Right. And he proves that he's psychic.
The executive actually does this.
Right.
Decides to trust him and then ask them this.
Right. And she does, and it ends up that she doesn't sign the deal. And as we see throughout the episode, it leads to him becoming this huge billionaire, the richest man alive, and the executive that he helped is now working for him, and he likes that she doesn't take crap from him, apparently. And Amy, who is kind of a constant throughout all of these timelines, she comes to his home office and wants a new house because her husband is cheating on her with his masseuse.
Right.
And he says, yeah, well, you're cheating on him with your masseuse, and causes her to have a nosebleed and says no new houses. And
no more houses.
Right.
Yes.
And
so essentially, David has now figured out he's used his gift to get what he wants in the world, which is probably how he became such a powerful person.
Right. And he's also kind of considering himself a god, because he talks about the Tower of Babel and how God cursed them for building a tower so close to heaven by making them not understand each other, the Tower of Babel story, and how he can understand everyone, so that makes him the great uniter. And so he's very full of himself, and
this is essentially power trip David.
Yeah. I said corporate David, but it's very much full of himself, David.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have Poor Man, and this is not homeless David. This is Dairy David.
Yeah.
He's lithium David, essentially.
Okay. The guy with the drug problem. No.
He works for a dairy.
Okay.
Amy drives him to and from work every day, and he hauls boxes. He stacks boxes.
This is like Vermilion Mustache David.
Yeah, kind of.
Right?
He's a drone, essentially.
And he's a slow individual.
Slow. Well, because he's on, I'm guessing, kind of a lithium type drug.
So he's not quite with it.
Right. And she has to call him in the middle of the day and make sure he's taking his medicine, and he lives with her, and she's kind of managing his whole life, and it ends up that, it's a horrible life, but he has this job with the dairy, and she says, well, it's a job. And it ends up at the very end, though, that she's late one night, and his meds are wearing off. He goes out late at night, and the police stop him. He sees the yellow man,
Yes.
And
this is where things go rapidly to hell.
Yeah, it does not end well.
Because essentially he ends up unleashing this psychic blast that obliterates all the cops and everybody nearby.
Yeah, I mean it escalates.
Except for Amy, because Amy comes rushing to his side.
Right. Well, okay, 2 cops stop him because he's erratic, because Amy's not there yet. And they try to arrest him, and Amy's trying to tell the cops that, he's on medicine, and it escalates because he keeps seeing the yellow-eyed monster dude.
Right.
And then other cops show up and things just get worse and worse. And she's rushing in and the cops knock her down and then he goes insane. And that's when he unleashes, well, he's starting to, but a cop from the other side shoots him and wounds him mortally. And that's when he unleashes whatever. And the whole street is empty except for him and Amy. And Amy rushes over and it looks like he's dead.
Doesn't Carrie get his head sliced in half?
That's another one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is him dying on the street with a gunshot wound. And I'm assuming that's what happened there.
It's so easy to get these Davids confused.
Yes. But that's poor man, Derry David.
Okay.
And then the next one is Beggar Man. That's Homeless David. Now, Homeless David starts out... First, we do see him as an older David, but it's just little bits and pieces. Then we get taken back to him as a younger Homeless David.
Right.
It jumps around a little bit, and he finds an empty shopping cart. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, this is a big deal when you're homeless.
And there is a flash of him from season 1 where he's pushing a friend of his around in a shopping cart. I don't know if you remember that scene. But there's a scene in season 1 where he is pushing a friend of his around in a shopping cart.
I think I remember it.
And it was in this episode. So it's almost like he sees an echo of that in his brain when he sees the shopping cart. Right. So he's so excited when he sees the shopping cart. So he throws his bag in there and he takes off with it. And then
he's he walks by the Derry David. Kind of,
yeah. This is us seeing all the different Davids. He walks by the Derry David in the car, and then on the other side of the street is corporate David with all the coffees.
Right. Oh, and is this where the younger homeless David, is that where he gets almost hit by the car?
Yeah.
And Sid's in the back seat of the car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's little flashes of stuff like that. And another flash of homeless David is he parks his now full shopping cart, and he is older, and he's got a full beard and weird wacky hair.
Right. And he's almost like Caveman David.
Yes, he is.
He's got kind of pronounced eyebrows and
they're very furry.
Yeah, it makes him look like a Cro-Magnon.
Yeah, he does very much so, and he's dirty and gross and very homeless.
Yeah, and he hangs out under a bridge.
Right, he barks at people and
and then these basically a scene right out of a Clockwork
Orange. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clockwork, get it?
For Clockwork, exactly right. Four thugs with hats on, with bowler hats on.
The Droogs.
Yeah, they show up and they're beating him, and he unleashes this wave just like he did in the other. Although this was before the other one, and they are gone. It's
They're
just these shadows on the ground, right?
Yeah, shadows. It's almost like when the Hiroshima blast, that some people were just reduced to their shadows.
Right. Exactly.
Just like that.
Just a shadow on the ground for each of them.
Yep. Yeah.
And so he's wandering around the city, and I'm guessing that Division 3 gets word of this guy who's doing weird things, and they are coming after him. It's a bunch of soldiers,
right?
As we saw in the episode where they're describing the soldier arm of Division 3. We see the soldiers and we see Carrie training them.
Okay, so this is why Carrie. Yeah, this is where Carrie is. Yeah.
Right.
And they try to taser him, but they keep hitting a force field.
Right. He's got a force field up, and then they send drones in, and the drones have some sort of
high-pitched sound.
Something that disrupts him.
Yeah.
And as he is being disrupted and kind of down on the ground, Carrie, the girl Carrie, comes up behind him and slices him in half with a katana.
Right.
Right down the center.
Yep, basically split.
Yep.
Like you're cutting a hot dog in two.
Exactly. Right
from
down the
long
middle.
ways.
Right. So we see both Poor Man and Beggar Man die in this episode. Right. And then, Grief would be our David. And that is the one where we see the flashes of him throughout the episode. And then at the end, we see flash, 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 flash of all the little bits and pieces from last season up through this season. And we see a lot of the stuff from last episode. And then we see, I guess, quote unquote, his sister.
Yeah.
In the body of kind of Lenny, comforting him against the door of that upside down room. And that is the weirdest thing. And then we have this weird Six Flags David, an old man David. And
we also forgot one more David.
Okay, which one?
The David that is at a desk in a solitary office surrounded by filing cabinets.
Right.
This is a big one.
Yeah, you're right.
And this is one of the reasons for my rating title.
Thank you, yes. Yes, I loved that one, actually. I forgot him. So there's Old Man.
So we'll call this Office Space David.
Office Space David, yes. You stole my stapler. Yeah, he's very office. I thought of Office Space when I saw him because he's like down in a basement all by himself.
The mouse stole my stapler.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think the significance of that, David, is? Because he's just sitting down there and he's sniffing White out.
Yeah, he's trying to catch a buzz off of Whiteout.
Yeah,
kind of like something Cheryl would do on Archer.
Yes.
And it's not quite the glue.
No, not quite but close.
But yeah, it's close. And then all of a sudden, this mouse scurries across his desk.
That was the best.
And then, in a moment that could only be done by one of two shows, Twin Peaks and Legion, the mouse gets up on its hind legs and starts singing "Slave to Love." Oh.
It was so good.
From Brian Ferry.
So good.
Slave to Love.
I don't know how I forgot this one.
Yep. So, great moment.
It was a great moment.
It was this perfect little bizarre moment. And I tweeted about this of like, okay, and now we've just had a mouse singing "Slave to Love" by Brian Ferry.
Yeah, only on Legion.
Only on Legion, yeah. Or, again, Twin Peaks. But, yeah, so that was great. I love that moment.
Yeah, and do you think that was just him hallucinating?
It could. It's possible. I mean, but who knows? But I'd like to think that maybe because, he was getting a buzz off the Whiteout, maybe. Yeah,
and that was him self-medicating, obviously.
Right.
And then we have Six Flags David, the older David, who has lived through everything and is pretty much just catatonic. Yes. And Amy has taken care of him his whole life.
I kind of wondered if this was, if this David was the older version of Power Trip David.
Do you think?
Because Amy's with him.
Yeah.
And here's why I think this scene was important.
Okay.
Because for one thing, this elderly David is bald.
Right.
They put him in a wheelchair.
Right. Yeah.
So the bald son of Professor Charles Xavier
in a wheelchair. Yeah.
I'm sure that was deliberate.
I'm sure it was too. I thought the same thing.
The bald psychic son of Charles Xavier. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, he's super powerless in that.
Right. But this, this could be, like the end of his story. We don't know, but.
Yeah.
And then we forgot
that could be any of the Davids, to be honest. I mean, except for the two that we saw die in this.
Yeah. Yeah. And then after that, we see more of the David, Office Space David, still working at his desk. And then we start seeing glimpses of all the other lives again.
Oh, and there's the married with 2 kids, David, too. But that was just a weird.
Yeah, just a one-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
he's playing in the pool with his family. That was the Doc Brown meth head David mentions in one of my timelines I could be married with 2 kids. Yeah. And then they show him playing in the pool with his kids. Right. So this was a crazy, and we are really, honestly, we're not doing it a whole lot of justice, but
no,
this was
the way this story like interwove back and forth and kept you guessing, and it was interesting to see how some of these stories turned out. Some of them may be real, some of them may not be real. We don't know,
right?
And some of them could be little teases for the future, maybe.
Right. Who knows?
We'll find out. But it was fascinating. It was definitely a different type of story.
Yeah. And I felt like it was a filler episode, but then it also wasn't.
Well, then it also gave you the big gut punch because David finding out about Amy.
Right. Right.
And, threatening like, I'm going to kill you now. Mm-hmm. Kind of thing.
Right. Right, but we also got a lot of other story in this. So even in a filler episode, they give us so much meat to digest. It is just, it's amazing. I don't regret them giving us a filler episode.
No, this was an okay, like just one-off like divergence.
Right. I dug it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't miss anything, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not apart from the the other stuff, the
Office Space David,
Office Space,
which
David,
you covered for me.
Yes, exactly. So, what was your rating?
I gave it 9.5 cold French fries because of Meth Head David, who was using them.
Yeah, and I gave it, of course, 9 mice singing "Slave to Love."
Yeah, that mouse was adorable.
That was such a great scene.
It was.
And it was such a perfect song for that moment too.
It was too. And I love he's like sharpening pencils. Sharpening pencils and then looking over, seeing the mouse, and then the mouse just standing up and starts singing.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. So just out of nowhere.
Bizarre.
I thought it was such a great moment.
It was.
I enjoyed that a lot. So solid episode from Legion. Even though overall plot-wise, maybe doesn't fit into it's not an important part of the major arc. Or maybe it is. Who knows? We'll find out together.
We'll find out together.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to Krypton.
Krypton 108 Savage Night.
Savage Night. Written by David Cobb, directed by Mark Ruskin.
All right. And these are your storyline titles. Do you want to give them?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give them.
Okay.
So, first story A. Maybe I'll win. Saved by Black Zero.
I love that song, too.
I'm a big 80s New Wave fan, in case you couldn't tell, because my B story, and I ran so far away. And that's ran with 2 N's, by the way.
That's right, ran and I ran so far away. And that is Sardath and Alana.
Yeah, Sardath and Alana so if you're an Adam Strange buff, you probably kind of geeked out about this episode a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the C story doesn't have a cool title or like song title, but there was a quote in this episode that factors in rather well. Through fire, we are reborn.
Through fire, we are reborn.
Boom!
Yeah. Craziness.
Yeah, so essentially we get a little suicide bomb action in this.
We certainly do.
So, and not just any suicide bomber, a kid suicide bomber.
Yeah. Not great.
Brainiac is not playing around, folks.
No, he is not. So Saved by Black Zero. And can I just mention that this Zod.
Yes. The General Zod, the one played by, I forget his name. But he was Walter on Arrow.
Yeah.
And he was also Dr. Moon on Doctor Who, the Silence in the Library episode.
Oh, was he? I didn't know
No. Yeah, it was Silence in the Library. That's right. Yeah, he was Dr. Moon on that episode. And he also played Charles in the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. M's little assistant guy.
Yeah. Okay, I never put all those roles together.
Yep.
I knew he was Walter.
And I should know that actor's name by now because he's been.
I know because he's been in all that stuff.
Yeah.
I know he played Walter. That was the one I remember him from. But anyway, okay. So Zod, and I'm not going to call him General Zod because he's not General Zod yet, right? Or
actually,
he
no,
was.
He is.
Yeah,
this is time travel from the future Zod.
Right. Okay. So he's in General Zod. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, General Zod.
He's escaped from the Phantom Zone. They established that.
Right. Yes, you're right. Okay. So General Zod.
Yes.
Can I just say, deviousness upon deviousness upon deviousness.
Right.
For this guy, right? And
General Zod, go figure. The guy, kneel before Zod.
Yeah, but
that guy?
In such a curious way, though, because it's deviousness through truth.
Right.
He actually tells the truth about who he is.
Well, in all great lies are wrapped in the truth.
Yeah, but it's not a lie at all.
No.
He doesn't lie at all.
No, and it's kind of like a Loki thing. Where it's like, I'm not going to lie to you, but just what I say might not,
It might not give you the whole story.
I know how to use it. Or, Lucifer. I mean, Lucifer also kind of does this too, where he's like, I'm not going to lie to you. But
right. I'm Lucifer.
I can use the truth to manipulate you.
Right. So yeah, he tells 100% the truth.
Yeah, he's not this boisterous, angry, kneel before Zod guy.
No, he's not.
He's a much more manipulative, calculating Zod.
Right.
Which makes him more dangerous.
Way more dangerous. And I love that he says, wouldn't it be great if we could all be these superheroes? And he doesn't say superhero, but you know what I mean. Yeah. If we could all look at all the stuff we could do throughout all the things, all the people we could help.
Right. Yeah,
that's what you're looking for. All the people you could help.
Well, in Zod, we find out through the course of this episode, he admits, I think it was to Jaina Zod, that his whole plan is he wants to save Krypton.
Right.
That's why he came back from the future.
Right.
But Jaina's kind of put two and two together and realizes, well, he came back to save Krypton to rule it.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course that's what he wants to do.
Right. Because, again, kneel before Zod.
Right.
So, yes, yeah.
Of course. And also, if he can make it so there is no Superman to go back to Earth, hooray.
Right.
Plus,
no threat there.
He knows that if he goes to Earth, he can conquer that because he'll have powers and no one else will. So, hooray, right?
So you think he would be trying to assassinate Skaggs at every opportunity?
Yeah, but he doesn't have to. Why would he out himself?
Well, he doesn't want to. If he wants to prevent Superman, that would be the way to do it.
But he doesn't need to, is what I'm saying. If he saves Krypton.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because that way Superman will never be launched to Earth.
Right.
Right.
Then why would he need to? And why would he?
Right.
Why would he put himself in the bullseye of getting caught for murdering someone?
So, and this is one of the things I'm finding really fascinating with Krypton right now, is because you have Zod, the bad guy, trying to save Krypton.
Which is actually a bad thing.
Right. In this case. And you have Adam Strange, who is a good guy, but realizes that Kandor has to be sacrificed to Brainiac to keep the timeline going,
right.
so that will cause that makes Krypton unstable. So therefore, this is what gets Superman's father Jor-El to launch him to Earth.
Right.
So it's very interesting moral dilemmas going on.
Now,
here.
I do have to say, as far as Krypton goes, Adam Strange is a bit of a villain.
In this sense, yeah, he kind of is.
Because
he's got to let all these people die and get sucked up in order
to just have one guy come to Earth to be our savior.
Right. He's got to sacrifice this planet so that Earth can get its savior.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not very nice.
No.
Right?
But you also have to think of like, well, hey, Superman helps save the universe. So on a scale of numbers, the universe versus one planet, he's weighing the numbers and like, I have to go with the universe on this one.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Right? Think about it.
Yeah.
It's not just he saved Earth, he saved the universe.
Many times
from all
over.
these various threats, like the anti-monitor, what have you.
Right. All right, Adam.
See what I'm coming from with this?
Yeah, no, not just you. I get it. But
it doesn't make it easy.
But watching the episode, I was thinking, wait a minute.
Right.
Adam's trying to get the planet destroyed.
Right. Well, Adam's having some trouble with this too.
Yeah.
It's not because he does realize that, like, okay, and I think this is partly why he's acting the way he's acting is, like, I have to cause all this death in order to save the timeline.
Mm-hmm. And he has to go
because he's essentially inserted himself in this, to use a Doctor Who term, fixed point in time.
Mm-hmm. And essentially something that he doesn't really have a place in.
No.
It's really none of his business, but he feels like he needs to make it his business in order to salvage it. And I hate that he has to go to Nissa's dad, whatever his name is.
Oh, Darren Vex.
Darren. Yeah.
Deron.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell him, oh, hey, here's what's going on. After they've been working so hard against him all season, it seems like, it's like a crux has been tilted.
Well, with Brainiac showing up on Krypton sooner than everybody expected, that's just kind of forced everybody. The timetable has accelerated,
right?
And therefore, now he's desperate,
right? So he's got to do all kinds of things, and it's just not good. And so he can't let them kill Brainiac. He can't. Right. He can't do any of these things that really, I think part of him would like to do. To say, I would like to save your planet, but
I'd like to take Brainiac off the table, but
if I do, then this and this happens,
right?
Yeah,
because his responsibility will probably end the moment Brainiac takes Kandor.
Right.
It's just getting to that point.
Yeah, because
once that's done, then Krypton becomes unstable.
Yeah, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Right, and then the dominoes fall. Right.
Now Zod will still, he'll still try and do stuff, but I mean, I'm guessing that the show will probably subvert Zod at the same time. Yeah.
Now, did you notice we also got a Kryptonopolis shout out here a couple episodes ago?
We did. Yeah.
So what, I think they're already setting the seeds for like, okay, we're going to shift locations because Kandor is going to go kablooey.
Yeah.
Or at least poof.
Exactly.
When it gets shrunk down itty bitty size.
Yeah. So Zod.
Yes.
Zod and his Zod grandma. Is it his grandma?
Well, his grandmother, Jaina.
Right.
Zod.
Right.
And his mother, Lyta Zod.
Right. Well,
they have a great moment because Drew Zod, General Zod, is like, well, hey, don't you want to know who your father is? Well, guess what? I don't know who he was.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But he and his grandmother decide that they're going to go recruit Black Zero to help. And the way that they can do that is to sacrifice Darren to them in exchange for their help. Yeah. Well, he actually corrects Adam. Okay. Do you not remember that?
No, I don't.
Adam goes to talk to him and goes, "Hey, Darren," and he goes, "It's Darren."
Yeah. It's Grey Poupon.
Exactly. But anyway, and Nissa says, yes, go ahead. If we can save everyone by sacrificing my father, then do it. So this is how they get Black Zero to help storm the castle, as it were.
Right. And we get the introduction of Hannah Whittingham as Jack Zurr, who is the leader of Black Zero. And interestingly, Jack Zurr was traditionally a male role. And they decided to kind of gender flip it.
Well, she was awesome in this, by the way.
Yeah.
I liked her in this.
Yeah, so, new character. She's interesting. And
at the end of the episode, when they do deliver Nissa's father, Darren, right. I'll just call him Darren.
Go on.
When they deliver...
Darren, it's just what you want to say, Darren, don't you?
That's what he called himself.
Okay, well, go ahead.
When they delivered Darren to her, she was salivating. Oh,
yes.
I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah.
Because, of course, she's going to torture and kill him at some point, I'm guessing, because he took away all her power and everything. Yep. And
the fact that he's pretty much a douche anyway.
Yeah. And
we should call him Douchevex.
Douchevex. Let's call him Douchevex. And General Zod said, hey, but, we haven't found the voice of Rao's body yet. And she said, okay, you can have Black Zero until you find him, and then we're square.
Right.
So they made that deal. Now, the voice of Rao was worse for wear, but when he fell, what they did is they pushed him down into the Genesis machine or whatever.
Chamber, yeah.
Yeah. And he was worse for wear, but he was not dead.
Yeah, he essentially does this move like he's Han Solo in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Goes,
yes.
Falls back.
Exactly.
Into it.
Or Darth Vader.
Or Darth Vader, or who knows? Or the Emperor, you mean. The Emperor in Return
Didn't
of the Jedi.
Darth Vader fall at one point?
Nope.
Okay, so the Emperor.
Yeah.
Okay,
because remember, Darth Vader throws the Emperor down this chasm.
Right.
On the second
how do I forget that?
I don't know. That's kind of a big one.
It is a big one.
Shame on you.
I know.
Yeah, that's a point deduction for geek cred.
It is. Yeah, Darth Vader dies with his helmet off.
Right.
He looks like Darth Vader when he comes back out, though.
He does.
With his head all nasty and gross.
Yep.
Okay, so he comes out and he sees Ona, who has become his little minion.
Yeah, he's little this little protege puppy dog that kind of follows him around, thinks he's awesome.
And he says...
And he totally manipulates her.
Yeah, he says, don't be scared. You will always remember me. And he, apparently, he puts the Brainiac's sentry in her.
Yeah.
And sends her off, and she goes blowed up real good.
She blows up real good.
That's right. I don't have my blowed up real good on here.
That's okay.
Anymore.
But, and it's kind of sad, but points to Krypton for not sugarcoating
not
it.
Pulling punches.
Nope. They're not afraid to blow up some kids on this show.
They're not. Now, Adam sees this about to happen. He's going to blow up, what's his name? Zed or whatever his name is. And our main dude. Why am I not remembering names today? Skaggs, yeah. And the guy, his friend.
Oh, Kem?
Is that his name? Kem?
The Kem, the guy, the bartender guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kem.
Thank you. Okay. So she was about to blow them up real good.
Right. Because, they went to the Kem's bar.
Right.
And then she says, she's got these Kryptonian words written on her face, and they're glowing.
Yep, they
glow
right away,
all red.
They're
like, okay, she's got glowing letters on her face. This can't be good.
So Adam jumps in between them and uses his little Zeta device and
Zeta beam shield thing. He creates this force field that saves them.
Yep, saves their life
as she blows up real good.
That's right, and he gets transported back to that little weird capsule place.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a minute.
That's right.
In our B story.
Okay, so And I Ran So Far Away. Now, here's the Adam Strange backstory that I've been waiting for all season.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
8 episodes in.
Well, if you remember, and they kind of show this, in the pilot, there was this moment where, like, Adam's kind of, like, not hit, like, he's very unsteady, and he's kind of like, oh, I'm clutching in pain, like he's got a tummy ache.
Right.
And we find out that, this is where he's warning Skaggs, like, about Krypton's fate and that Skaggs got to save Superman. So he hands him the sun crystal with the House of S.H.I.E.L.D. sigil, the little control key thing. Mm-hmm. And then he vanishes. Well, so we finally found out where he went. Mm-hmm. And so he goes back to this kind of like sterile tube-like chamber, which is all white and futuristic.
Yeah, it looks like 2001,
yeah,
Space Odyssey
like right
hallway.
Out of a Stanley Kubrick film, and I know you hate Kubrick.
I know, but that's what it looked like.
But or like something out of Legion. How's that?
Sure.
There we go.
But it was. It looked like it was in outer space or something.
It did. Well, which it was, because it was probably the planet Ran. That's with 2 N's.
Right.
Which, of course, is the home of Sardath, the leader of the Ran people, and his daughter, Alana, the love interest of Adam Strange.
I'm guessing this is pre-love interest, yeah?
I would think so. This is probably pretty early. The Young Adam Strange Chronicles.
Yeah.
And because eventually these 2 crazy kids hook up and they have a daughter named Aaliyah Strange, who's just like her dad. And but here, Adam's talking to like Sardath, who's apparently not in the room. He's speaking through like some speaker somewhere. And we get some backstory about him and the Zeta beam device that he borrowed.
Yeah.
In air quotes.
I was going to bring it back.
Yeah. I borrowed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sardath's listening to what Strange says about Brainiac heading toward Krypton and this whole threat to Superman thing. Then he's like, okay, I will help you get back to the planet to take care of this timeline thing. Mm-hmm. So he does that. And so later in the episode, we have after Adam Strange and Kim find Ona hanging out these blessings of Rao to the Rankless, he gets flung back to that little like way station place.
Right.
And here, Sardath just totally bags on Adam Strange.
Yeah.
Like he's like, you don't have any commitment. You kind of suck, and basically all that.
Right. I won't disappoint you this time, he says.
Yeah, exactly. So Adam's like, just let me try one more time. Mm-hmm. And, let me become the hero I was meant to be. Mm-hmm. So this is a big deal to Adam to become this hero. And Alana, Sardath's daughter, kind of intercedes at this point. We don't get to see her either, but we hear her. And she's like, okay, let him... I'm with Adam on this one. Let him go back to Krypton.
Right. And this is where he says, I won't disappoint you. And Alana says, it's too late, or you already have, or something like that, which is like, ouch.
Yes.
Very painful.
So, yeah.
And after this point is when we see it looks like a slightly older Adam Strange on Krypton.
Where are you talking about?
He's in like the black outfit after that.
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
And he did look a little bit older to me.
Maybe we had a few. Yeah, maybe it was him for the future. Maybe it was the Superman era.
Yeah, it might have been. I just noticed that he looked different. He definitely acted different.
Okay.
When he was in the black outfit. When he came back and he saved them with the shield and all that.
Right.
Because I really felt like it was a whole different Adam Strange.
I'm going to have to watch that ending again.
You should, because when he's in the darker outfit, his hair looks different.
Yeah, maybe I wasn't noticing that closely or something.
His demeanor's different. Everything's different. So
I think it was just probably rattled the fact that they blew up Ona.
Yeah, I know. It was very jarring.
It was very disturbing. So
yeah.
Now after that, that whole through fire we are reborn stuff, we get a kind of a big teaser because Adam gets teleported to some weird place, mysterious location where there's this short-haired blonde woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of standing, presumably frozen in time.
Right.
And Adam seems to kind of recognize her.
Mm-hmm.
And when he steps closer to her face, her eyes kind of like lock onto his.
Yeah.
All creepy, like,
Right. And
like
he jumps back a little bit.
Like she's the dramatic chipmunk or whatever it was.
Like this.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that. Yeah, like that.
Now, DC, the creators of the show have said this is a DC character,
right? That
we know,
right? Well, then I have a theory about who that is.
Okay, who do you think it is?
Well, this is a character they've mentioned is going to be on the show.
Okay,
so I am trying to put two and two together, and presumably this is Hawk Girl or Hawk Woman.
That's who I thought as well.
Which is interesting in itself because if this is like Hawk Girl, Hawk Woman from Thanagar, the planet Thanagar, Thanagar and Rand do not get along with each other. They keep having these
enemies.
Wars, the Rand-Thanagar wars.
Yep.
And so these two alien races are apparently working together, I'm guessing, to preserve this timeline.
Right.
In this war with Brainiac. So,
or else he got transported there and they're trying to subvert it.
So I'm thinking that this will be her. Now the question is it like Shara Thal from Thanagar or somebody else? We'll find out.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that's who it is though too.
But it's pretty cool if it is. So and Krypton, this scope of this thing keeps growing on this show. Which I like
this one so much better than I have in recent weeks.
Well, now that you got some backstory in Adam and...
Sure. Now that things are actually being made clear, yeah.
Well,
but it's 8 episodes in. Come on.
I agree, but...
Give us some Adam before now.
Well, they had to set things up. I mean, they had that cool General Zod revelation like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, that's cool. And again, that's episode 6.
Right.
Hello.
Well, they had to figure out where to take the show. Sometimes it takes shows long. It took Star Trek: The Next Generation 2 full seasons to get on track.
Okay, not 2 full seasons.
Pretty much
1.5 season.
No, it wasn't until season 3.
So you say. Okay.
A lot of people say.
I'll give you that. A lot of times you have to wait like 5 or 6 episodes to get into a show. I just would have liked more revelations earlier on. That's all.
I agree, but it was a slow build.
It was a very slow build.
Okay, but we're here.
But I loved this episode. I really
getting
did.
it. We're really, Brainiac. We've got lots of cool stuff in play, and reminder: Doomsday's still lying around in a freezer.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So crazy stuff.
And we got.
And who knows what else we'll get?
We got what's his name? Who was out in the Badlands? Dev.
Yeah, Dev M. Mm-hmm. So Dev M's back in play. We should talk about that real quick. Last time we saw Dev M, he was all controlled by Brainiac as one of his Red Shard operatives because he had that little disc in his forehead.
Right, but it turns out that
and he had attacked Jaina and Lyda, mm-hmm. and Lyda shot his arm off.
That's right.
So now we call him Righty.
Is he? Yeah, he's righty.
Yeah, he's not lefty.
Right.
So we call him Righty.
And it turns out that it's a good thing that he was one of the Red Shard because they could use that to cut off all the other Red Shards. Yeah,
they basically use that, track that back through how Brainiac is controlling these guys.
Right.
So
they short-circuited all.
And unlink them.
Right.
Essentially.
And that's how they got to Brainiac and all that. And
apparently Dev is back to being himself, although minus one arm.
Right.
Whoops.
And they've got like a...
Maybe they could clone it or something.
They've got like a a screw lid there.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's just a little cap on top. They cap it off.
Exactly. That's what it looks like. But yeah, it was a good episode. I liked it.
It was good.
And when they went to get Dev, there was someone looking at them. There was someone watching them with a hood on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, mystery person.
Right. I meant to mention that, and I forgot.
I wonder who that could be.
I don't know. Good question. But they're out in the Badlands, that's for sure.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm thinking it's the real Val-El still.
Could be.
I think he's not dead, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Somehow he survived.
It definitely could be him.
I think that would be awesome if it was.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I thought that was pretty cool. And we only have 2 more episodes to go. Hopefully we get season 2 pickup. Still waiting for that.
We are.
But The Expanse has been canceled.
That's correct.
By Sci-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that frees up Sci-Fi's piggy bank.
Many people are upset about that.
Understandably, I feel you. I tried getting into The Expanse and it just kept putting me to sleep.
My husband likes it. I couldn't get into it either.
Yeah, I watched a few episodes. I tried really hard because I knew
it's super high concept.
But yeah, it just bored me to tears and I lost interest. So, but I have been burned by Sci-Fi repeatedly, as most of us have.
Mm-hmm.
Firefly.
Yeah.
Oh wait, well that was Fox.
That was Fox, but no, that was Fox. Farscape.
But, Farscape. Yeah, that, and also Dresden Files.
Yeah.
And what was the other one?
There was more than that.
There's been way more than that.
Which SG whatever.
Oh yeah, SG1.
Yeah.
Whatever, and I'm trying to think of some other ones, but yeah, Defiance.
There you go, Defiance.
That was a brutal one recently.
Yeah, that was a Rockney show as well.
Yeah, so yeah, Rockney S-Band and Sci-Fi just don't get along very well. But yeah, that was brutal. But and then of course, one guy ends up on Supergirl as Brainiac 5.
Yeah,
Alec Tarr
with no makeup on.
With no makeup on, because they're like, even we know this makeup sucks, so we're going to stop using it. Right. We're just going to give it like, oh yeah, it's like a hologram thing to make him look normal.
Yeah.
Too
because
funny.
You guys are killing us.
Yeah, it's like, comments. Okay, we fixed Monel's costume, okay? Now get off her back. No, the Brainiac 5 makeup. Ah!
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So I like this episode, and I'll give it 8 Zeta shields.
Okay, and I gave it 8.5 exploding Onas, which is kind of cruel. But,
yeah, it is really cruel. So I countered that with the Zeta shield.
but I have to. I see what you did there. Yeah, I like we're playing Mad Krypton: The Gathering. Exploding Onas.
Yes,
I block with Zeta Shield.
I tap 2 dual lands.
Hilarious.
And I block you with a Zeta Shield.
You like that?
Instant. Yeah.
Krypton the Gathering.
That's very nice. Can you tell I played Krypton the Gathering?
Exactly. But I'm kind of glad you're digging the show more.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. Hopefully there will be more show to dig in season 2. All right, let's talk about our next show, Gotham.
421, One Bad Day. Written
by, and I keep forgetting this, it's Zichun.
Zichun.
Okay, I remember this time. Zichun.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Rob Bailey. I want to say Tse because it's got a T in front.
I know, but it's Z.
But apparently that's silent. It's Zichun.
Mm-hmm.
And not like Chun from Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins.
No.
But that is an awesome movie, and I love that movie.
It is kind of awesome in a very campy way.
Joel Grey. It's kind of racist these days.
It is kind of racist.
Like a lot racist, but he's really good in it.
He is really good.
He's funny as hell in it.
Joel Grey was awesome.
Yeah. So, but it was the 80s. So
he also played a German guy, so, you know.
Yeah, also, just keep in mind it was the 80s when that movie came out. Yeah. So, all right.
Things are different.
We know better now.
That's right.
Hopefully.
So, my storyline titles. Disarming gendarme.
Yeah.
That's Harvey.
Right.
Butler, Cutler, Mud in Your Eye. And that's, of course, Alfred. Rogues Rebuffed.
I would have gone with Killing Joke, but that's me.
Yeah, well, that's a little on the nose.
Okay, good point. Good point.
Rogues Rebuffed. That is Oswald.
Yep.
Leaving the city.
I like that.
So terrible, though.
It is terrible, but I love it.
That's a dad joke. And then A New Cat is Dawning.
Oh, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, I mean, we can just talk about the episode. I don't really care about these storyline titles.
Well, there's commitment.
I don't really, honestly. The whole story was, I mean, it was crazy.
This was a crazy episode. So to give you the gist of this episode, we had Jeremiah, who has just recently become Joker-fied by his brother.
Right. Well, no. I think he was always Joker.
Yeah, but now physically Joker-fied.
Right. I think that stuff just made him look like the Joker.
Right.
Yeah.
So essentially, and his whole demeanor is now this sociopathic, cold version of the Joker.
Right.
But he's very intelligent. And now he's used these devices that were created for the purpose of like clean energy. Turns out they can also become like really dangerous bombs.
Yep.
And it just so happens Wayne Enterprises was kind enough to manufacture a whole crap ton of them.
That's right.
That Jeremiah was able to scatter all around Gotham City. Mm-hmm. And he has a special hidden map, as we find out through the course of the episode, about where those things are located, but it's all tricksy, and it takes the Riddler to figure it out.
Right. That's what the main plot boils down to. Now,
and the race is on to stop the bombs from going off and blowing up the city.
Right.
Yeah.
James, of course, was knocked out by, being in the bunker, but escaping just barely. Lee and Ed found him, and he woke up with them. Now, Ed has figured out where these bombs are because he had this map, right? So he has told James how to decode this map, and that it is actually a layout, like a larger layout of the bunker that Jeremiah lived in, the maze.
Yes, the maze, the labyrinth.
Right. So James has armed himself with this knowledge. So now the GCPD, including Harvey, they all think because Jeremiah has told them and because they saw it happen, that James is dead because the bunker blew up.
Right. They don't know that James Gordon got out alive.
Correct. So they're
everybody thinks Gordon's dead.
They're keeping it in their head that hopefully they'll find him, but they also think he's probably dead.
Right.
So Harvey is, buoying up everyone, but there's also,
well, for
he's
one
doing that kind of.
like he's trying to be the leader and get everybody's attention, but they don't really respect him,
right?
And because he did kind of a crappy job as captain,
right?
And
Gordon he's kind of a dick. I mean,
he's kind of a dick. Now, Harvey's whole arc throughout this episode is that Harvey steps up to the plate in a big way.
Big time.
Big time. And he actually gets some respect at the end of the episode.
Huge respect, which I loved.
Yeah, I did like to see that.
So he
gets rewarded for his heroism.
He talks to Bruce, who shows up at the GCPD, and he says, "Look, here's the deal. I helped him make these bombs. He honestly, he makes no bones about it. I helped him. I'm sorry, but I did."
Well, he said my company did.
Right, Wayne Industries.
Yeah, Wayne Industries. He doesn't say like I did it.
Right.
He says his company did it.
And here's the deal. Lucius helps.
Here's the plans. Maybe you can figure out how to stop them.
Right. So Lucius, Harvey, Bruce, they're all kind of working together at this point try and figure out how to disarm these bombs.
Well, Harvey sends Bruce home. He's like, come on, kid, get it.
But I mean, Bruce armed them with the knowledge of here's the bombs, as in that's how he contributed to it.
Yes.
So now he and Lucius are trying to figure out how they can disarm him. He realizes that there's like a kill switch, and he decides he's going to go and try and disarm it. So Lucius has got like this thing in his ear, and he goes to the whatever the main one is, and Lucius is telling him, well, you got to cut this line. And of course, well, which one? This one. Okay, there's two. Which one? And right at the last...
They look exactly alike.
Right. And he says, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and he cuts one, and it happens to be the right one, and it doesn't work. The bomb doesn't work when
everybody is saved.
Right, everyone's saved. For now.
Right.
So Harvey goes back to the GCPD. When he walks in, he's barking orders left and right. He's ready to get back down to work because there's so many things they still need to do. But everyone's just silent. He's looking around, and not
doing it. Like they're just kind of standing there looking at him.
Yep. And he says, "What?" And they all just give him a huge round of applause, and they cheer. And I got a little teary.
You got a little verklempt?
Yeah, I did, because it's long overdue.
Well, yeah, think about his character arc. He started off in the pilot when we first met him as the kind of like the unscrupulous, or the kind of like on the take.
Right.
Another corrupt cop.
Right.
In the GCPD.
Now, mind you, he wasn't.
I'm not going to get myself in danger. You want to take out these criminals, you go ahead, but leave me out of it.
Right. He wasn't like 100% bad guy, but he wasn't exactly looking after Gotham's good interests.
No. He was on the take.
Right.
And just willing to look the other way, like so many of the other Gotham police before Gordon showed up.
Right. Then
and
he
now
and Gordon,
here he is. He's putting his life on the line,
right,
to disarm these bombs.
Yeah, and there have been ups and downs. I mean, he and Gordon were like solid partners, and then Gordon
split up, and
he and Gordon were totally on opposite sides. So yeah, they've gone through some major issues, and
Gordon became captain, and Harvey resented him for it.
Right, but now. This was just, like I said, I just think it's long overdue that he deserves this, because I think that's what he needed, was some kind of validation.
Right.
He was captain for the longest time without really wanting it.
Right.
And he didn't get anything in return.
No.
And I think he needed something. I don't think he was begging for a thank you, but I think he got one. He needed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So it was good. I was glad to see him get that as well.
Right. So yeah, he kind of saved the city, at least for now. And again, one of the things that Jeremiah said in this episode was always have a contingency plan.
Yes.
And you have to kind of keep that in mind.
Especially considering the title for next episode is called No Man's Land.
Right. And those bombs are still...
And if you know that No Man's Land storyline and you saw the preview for next week...
Yeah.
It's right out of... Or if you saw the movie The Dark Knight Rises...
Right.
You might have an idea of what's going to happen.
Exactly. Those bombs are still out there.
Yes.
They may not be all interconnected, but they're still out there. So if he can figure out a way to set them off and disconnect the city.
Yep.
And they've set it up because a lot of the city has been evacuated now.
Or maybe there are more bombs that he still has that weren't out there.
Right. Well, there's that too.
He could have more bombs that they don't know about.
Right. A lot of the regular public have evacuated the city, but the criminal element hasn't.
Right.
There are other people who have decided not to evacuate the city. People are going to feel like it's okay, it's safe now. So they're setting this up as now it's time for him to really make his move and do his worst. So I really do think that he's going to make good on his threat.
Let's just say that next week, if what happens next week, you're going to be like begging Fox to renew this show.
Yes.
Which
agree.
so far it hasn't.
Right.
As of
right now, yeah.
As of this recording, of May 13th, 2018.
Right. Now, most of this stuff all revolves around Jeremiah. Almost every storyline revolves around Jeremiah in this episode. Right. Oswald comes up with this plan. He's going to go and ransom this guy to Jeremiah with the kill switch. And get $50 million in exchange. And
$50 million.
What he doesn't realize is that Jeremiah doesn't give a crap about people.
You're right.
And so Jeremiah ends up just killing him.
He's a complete sociopath.
Yeah, he just doesn't kill. He kills him anyway, his minion, who they were trying to sacrifice. And so Oswald, along with Tabitha, Butch, Babs. Was it just the four of them?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So they all have to flee, and they're very upset that Oswald's plan didn't work, right? Yeah. And Oswald confesses to Butch that he has known where Hugo is this whole time, and Butch is none too pleased with this revelation. No, he's not.
But, yeah, so...
one of the things that James does when he's down with Ed and Lee is he tells Lee that she needs to leave the city, that she really can't be happy with Ed. He also has a chat with Ed and says that Lee is using him.
Right.
So he's playing both of them against each other, which is really interesting, I think.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing is that... he points out that Lee isn't as committed to him as he would like to think.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, Ed's watching from the shadows. Now, I have to think that Gordon should be kind of afraid about what the Riddler could do.
Of course.
Because of considering, two Kristen Kringles. What happened to those two? So...
I know. And
love it. Ed's love interests don't turn out very well.
It's so stupid. And he does urge Lee to leave. And I do think that when he tells Ed that, he's kind of trying to free up Lee so that she can leave.
Yeah.
Don't you think, maybe?
But I don't think he's thinking this through because...
No, he's not.
Right.
He's not at all. But, he's a little naive.
Maybe pissing off the Riddler... is a bad idea.
It's a horrible idea.
Excuse me.
Pissing off the Riddler is a terrible, terrible idea. And there was a kind of, whatchamacallit, opera, what is it? Phantom of the Opera scene where Ed is kind of standing there watching as James is talking to Lee, and he's like, "Oh, my love, I will come and get you."
Here in the shadows of the night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of tragic romance to that storyline.
A bad romance.
Yeah, bad romance.
Yep.
So there's that. Okay, now. Really, the most compelling storyline in this episode,
of course,
is Bruce being played by Jeremiah. And boy, does he get played.
Yeah, because as it turns out, Bruce gets drugged by the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
And he gets sent through this kind of gauntlet where he's... sees all these video images of Alfred being tortured.
Right.
Or at least he thinks he sees them.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of up in the air because of, hey, remember, he's drugged.
Mm-hmm.
And no, he doesn't know he's drugged.
Right.
But, so he sees these, just brutal images. Alfred's getting the crap kicked out of him. And then one of the images later is Alfred by himself getting a hold of a straight razor and giving himself a nice big smile.
Right. Now,
going all Heath Ledger Joker.
if you remember, at the end of, or I guess in the middle of the last episode, they did actually kidnap Alfred. So I think he saw Alfred being kidnapped and taken, but it was more sinister. You know how the Scarecrow serum makes you see things like a nightmare.
Right.
So he saw the vision,
your
but
darkest fears.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think he saw Alfred like being held down and kidnapped and everything, but it was exacerbated by whatever the Scarecrow had drugged him. That whatever was piped into that.
Right, and this is what Jeremiah calls a quote transformative experience.
Right. Now here's the whole Joker Batman dynamic at play. Joker, I think. Some of this is his respect for Bruce. Let me explain.
Please do. Let me explain. No, that is too much. Let me sum up.
He considers Bruce a peer and a friend. And I really do think he considers him that. In his twisted way. He's a sociopath, like you said.
Yes.
Okay. He has been changed by whatever has gone on with all this. And he wants to see if he can change Bruce into something better.
Right.
And I think he wants Bruce to go through something traumatic to change him into something like next level. Now, strangely enough, he may actually have succeeded.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, a lot of this is, excuse me, an allusion, a reference to the classic story Batman the Killing Joke by Alan Moore and Brian Bolland. And the images of Alfred being tortured are essentially like a nod to images of Gordon being tortured that Batman experiences.
Right.
In a sense, to try to drive Batman crazy.
Right.
As the Joker likes to refer to it, all it takes is one bad day to drive a person insane, which again is the title of the episode.
One bad day, right. Now, he does mention to Bruce that he had one bad day.
Right.
And it changed him. So he's actually comparing Bruce's bad day to his bad day.
And he wants Bruce to go through this also one bad day.
Correct.
To transform him into something similar.
Right. So that they can share this experience and bond over it.
Right.
Now, I also think some of it is that he's playing with his food, quote unquote, that it's kind of a experiment as well.
Right.
Because, again, sociopath.
Yes.
Either way, it ends up fine for him because, yeah, he's a friend, but he could take him or leave him. I mean, if he damages Bruce beyond everything, then, he doesn't care. It'll be interesting either way to him.
Yep.
So if Bruce ends up killing himself, then, he sees what happens and it's an interesting experiment and, fun times have been had.
So what we have is the scene where Alfred is laughing.
Mm-hmm. And very Joker-esque.
Yeah, exactly. Just, like he's gone completely off his rocker and saying, Bruce is horrified by this.
Oh, yeah. He's crying.
It's his worst fear.
Saying and
he's all,
screaming.
Alfred! Yeah. Wah! So.
Well,
wah.
To be fair.
Yeah, I know.
It would be terrifying.
So he Alfred jumps up from the chair, cuts Bruce with a knife. They fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, Selina shows up, shuts off the gas.
Right.
And Bruce is fighting something, whatever.
Right. Well, Alfred falls off the edge.
Yeah.
And dies. Do you not remember that? Alfred falls off the edge of the ledge there and dies, and he's terrified. And then Alfred and Selina are both there after Selina has shut off the gas, and they're waking him up, and they're saying that it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Alfred's alive.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's not really out of it yet.
He's like, I can't believe this.
Right.
Yes.
And once they get home, Alfred says, well, it's Selina. Selina turned off the gas, and she's the one that that alerted me to where you might have been, and and there's this whole let's have some dinner, which is the weirdest dysfunctional family ever.
Well, I think it was like this moment, that scene. Alfred is finally accepting Selena as part of Bruce's life.
Right.
Because up till now, for 4 seasons, he's been riding her pretty hard.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he hit her at one point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which was not a cool move.
No. We discussed that.
Yeah, we did.
So uncool.
So apparently he's now accepted this.
Right.
And he's like, would you like to stay for dinner?
Yeah.
And she agrees.
Too late.
So there's kind of like a nice little détente moment here.
Right.
That the two of them are at least, okay, I guess we've decided to put this aside.
Right.
For the sake of Bruce.
But then,
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. First, we should talk about this.
Okay,
First, Bruce thanks for her help.
Oh, yeah, and then Smoochy Booch's time.
Bow, chicka, bow.
Hold on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely that.
So Selena puts her feet up on Bruce's lap.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. Probably want a little foot fetish.
Well,
but
pause.
Pause. Yeah, paw fetish, I should say. Good point.
Yeah,
and,
but then...
and she's all like, all coy and smiling and whatnot. He makes his move.
Yep.
And they kiss at last. A full-fledged Bat-Cat kiss.
That's right, which was so sweet.
So the Bat-Cat shippers have to be very happy about this episode.
Sort of.
Well, that's true. Because what happens next?
Jeremiah.
Yeah, because she's like, well, first she's like, oh, why is Jeremiah so obsessed with you? And he's like, Bruce is all, well, maybe his parents' deaths made him a little insane. And I could kind of relate to that.
Right.
And then Jeremiah shows up,
yeah.
says, day's not over yet.
Mm-hmm. And shoots Selena right in the stomach.
Yep.
Gut shot.
No.
Now.
Yes.
It's
a gut. Keep in mind, it's a gut wound.
Right.
Or survive 4 of them.
There are several theories going around.
Yes.
First of all, this could be her Catwoman moment, right?
Right.
Where she gets resurrected somehow.
Yes.
And is become Catwoman.
Kind of like the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And now we know that Raish is back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, didn't she already get pushed out a window?
Yeah, but she didn't die.
That's true. I thought that because that would be more the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman.
Right. That was an iconic scene.
Getting shot and pushed out the window. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. However, there is a theory that I like better than that.
Yeah.
The theory is that he is still hallucinating.
This is possible. So that means, though, that the kiss never happened.
Right.
Which would suck. Which would not surprise me.
Right.
If they take that away.
Yeah.
So.
But that doesn't mean it won't happen again.
Yeah, because Alfred shows up at this point, beats the living S out of Jeremiah.
Right. Now, do you think he's going to be beaten up in the next episode? Do you think Jeremiah is going to be caught in the next episode? So,
although we did see some pictures of him in a cell. So maybe.
Or is that in Bruce's? Is that in Bruce's mind?
That's possible. We'll find out. I'd say it's 50-50.
Yeah.
On that hallucination.
Selena is not leaving the show, though. I'd be willing to bet 100% if she's not leaving the show.
I would hope not.
So,
but yeah. So I think Jeremiah could be in custody. We'll find out.
Okay, we'll find out. But this episode was the bomb, I thought. Haha, see what I did?
I see what you did there. Yeah.
And I think next week's going to be crazy.
All right, so what's your rating?
9.5 straight razors.
You really like this episode. What was the half-point deduction?
What was it? There was something. I had a rationale for it. What was it?
You should write this stuff down.
Yeah, I don't remember. But it was there.
Okay. Oh, and Ra's al Ghul showed up. We didn't.
Raish,
I'm sorry. Ra's al Ghul showed up.
Yeah, and he talked to Jeremiah
and
about
Jeremiah's
being
just like, whatever.
Whatever. I don't care.
I give this one 9 out of 10 bomb maps.
Yep.
So this was a solid episode, and next week's season finale, hopefully not series finale for Gotham.
Crazy. Yeah, because this season has been
#renew Gotham.
It's been so good.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how they could not renew it.
And it's Fox. Keep in mind.
I know it is.
Keep in mind.
So dumb. All right.
Ask the Lucifer people how they cannot.
Right.
So
that's true.
I know. I don't want to be like the doom and gloom guy, but
I know.
All right. Last show.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. 521, The Force of Gravity.
Written by Drew Z. Greenberg and Craig Titley. Directed by Kevin Tancherowin.
You said Titley.
Titley. Yep.
Okay, so a story. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just... Go ahead. Do your A, B, and C first.
Okay. A story, Inhuman Centipede.
Okay, nice.
B story, From the Mouths of Babes.
Yeah.
That's both his son and Robin.
Okay.
C story, 0 Hour, and that is Deke knowing the number 0.
Oh, that's right. That's good. Yeah,
I couldn't think of anything. I love Deke.
Yeah, it's been a while since we talked about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I thought now might be a good time to do that in case that show doesn't get renewed.
I hope it does, but if it doesn't, I think they're going to end on a bang.
Yes.
No, I'm serious. I really do think they are.
Well, the title of next week's episode is The End.
I know.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
They wrote this season as a possible series finale.
Yeah, I know.
Which Lucifer should have done, apparently, but...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Dumb.
Fox.
Okay, so Inhuman Centipede is the storyline with Coulson.
Yeah.
So Daisy has gone down to get her mother's bones, and she got the centipede thing device, and she's brought it back up, and now Fitzsimmons are working on this cure to inject the DNA from Daisy's mother, Jia-Yang, thank you,
yeah,
Jian-Yang. I don't know why it was Jia-Yang, to inject DNA from her into this device in order to put it into his...
Save Coulson, basically all magicy wagicy.
To give him all this healing property, right.
Yeah,
so
basically, we have a MacGuffin serum used to save Coulson.
Right. And they do talk about using the odium as well in this episode. So there is this little loophole of, hey, if it doesn't work, then we have this other backup, but there is no other centipede serum. So...
Right. Well, that's the thing, the kind of cliffhanger we're left with at the end of the episode.
Right.
Is that they apparently, the agents are given this choice that we either use we only have centipede serum enough for one.
Right.
So we either use it to A, save Coulson, or B, take out Graviton and save everybody.
Right.
Save the planet Earth.
Right.
And what Coulson would want.
He would say save the Earth.
Right. Save the Earth.
Right. Okay, so there's that.
So that's what's happened. We could be seeing the death of Coulson.
Right. And now
number 2.
There's this whole thing with Graviton.
Yep.
Talbot /
what do you think about the revelation?
Talboton?
Talboton.
Okay. That was awesome. First of all, because what's his name from the first season? Now, he's still in that Gravitonium. Right. So he is technically Graviton.
Right.
Inside Talbot's...
He's inside is merged with like this whole mixture inside Talbot.
Right.
But it's kind of cool because Talbot, he's got himself a super suit.
Yeah.
And he's looking pretty ripped in the super suit.
He looks pretty good in this.
And he's got the whole like bad guy Graviton goatee action. Graviton does have this goatee in the comics, by the way.
He looks just like him.
He looks just like Graviton should in the comics.
He does.
So it's a nice little way to kind of make, even though Glenn Talbot is a completely different character in the comics, they kind of merged the characters together.
Yeah, and I think they did a really good job with it.
And I think it's working well. Yes.
And they're keeping it faithful because the Graviton guy is still there inside of him. So,
and it's kind of cool to see Adrian Pasdar as the supervillain again.
It is kind of cool.
If you remember him from Heroes being that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's really good at it.
He is really good at it. He is crazy. And and he's not only this kind of what is that movie where they brainwash the
Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
No, don't worry about it. I can't remember now.
All right.
But anyway, they brainwash soldiers into killing senators and
a
Manchurian candidate. They Manchurian candidated him.
Got it.
Right?
Is that a verb?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So they
it
did
is now.
He's Manchurian graviton. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway.
The gravitonium candidate. How's that?
Perfect.
You're welcome.
All right. So, yeah, they turned him into this thing. And in doing that, they made him super insane.
Yeah. Not just insane, super insane.
Super insane. You can see that. I mean,
he's got the crazy eyes.
Yeah. When he goes to visit his wife in this episode, because he wants to prove how good he is to his son.
Right. Well, and here's the cool part, right? As any good comic writer or writer in general knows, the villain always sees himself as the hero.
Right.
From his point of view.
Right.
And Graviton in this case is no different. He sees himself, and he says this out loud, I'm a superhero. Mm-hmm. He tells his son, I'm a superhero.
Yep.
But he acts like a supervillain.
Right. And even when his son says, you're not a superhero, he says, yes, I am. I'm going to save the world. You'll see.
You're throwing a mom up against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's, just a poster on the wall.
And we're seeing now on the TV, we're seeing the stuff from Thanos, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's another thing we should bring up because this, because it's all connected, we are at this point, because of recent Marvel Cinematic Universe events, which Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is related to, we're getting the Avengers Infinity War events.
Right.
So we're starting to see the chaos caused by the Black Order, specifically like Ebony Maw. If you saw Avengers Infinity War, I know you haven't seen it. I
haven't, but yeah, I'm nodding.
But basically, this big old spaceship shows up in New York City, and there's a big old throwdown with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and Iron Man against these two members of Thanos' Black Order lieutenants.
Okay.
And lots of chaos happens as a result.
He is looking at that and saying he's going to save the Earth from that.
Right.
That is, he's convinced himself that's how he's going to redeem himself.
Right. I'm going to save the world from these aliens.
Right. Now, the thing is, he picks up Robin and his mother at the end, and he says, you've seen me, and you've seen me shake apart the Earth.
Right.
And get to the stuff in the center, so show me where that is. Okay, so he's going to destroy the Earth to save the Earth.
I'm going to get to that nice chewy center. In the center. How many licks does it take to get to the center of the Earth, Mr. Owl? Let's find out. A 1, a 2, a 3. 3.
Yeah. Except, you know what? Thanos isn't going to need defeating if you destroy the Earth, dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a big flaw in that plan.
Well, he doesn't quite know about Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet yet.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's going to be moot, period. It doesn't matter who he's fighting. It's going to be moot if he goes after the center of the Earth.
And if you've seen the end of Avengers Infinity War, and I have to be very careful because I know you haven't seen it yet.
I know that half of them die.
Well, yeah, half of the universe is wiped out.
Okay.
And presumably that could also affect this show.
Okay.
So I'm guessing next week's episode, we're going to see some very sudden and shocking disappearances.
All right.
From very important characters.
Okay.
So be prepared if that happens.
I will be.
I'm not saying it will, but it could.
I have a feeling that Coulson's going to bite it.
Well, we'll see.
I do. I've been saying that for about half the season anyway.
Yeah. Well, this episode, Coulson, big moment. He finally locks lips. He gets a little action himself. Now he gets all Bruce Wayne and Selina with May. That's
right.
Because they're fighting off some bad guys. And Coulson breaks out his Captain America shield.
That's right.
Which was awesome. Which was great.
Smooches.
And she's all like, freaking out or whatever. And Coulson lays one on her. He's like, I thought that might shut you up.
Yeah, I know. He's so alpha male right there. I know. So alpha male. It does. And I love Daisy. Daisy's like, okay.
I saw you and Mom May kissing. Kissin.
Right. And then he goes, okay, hot lips.
Yep. That was pretty good.
Which I thought was funny. But yeah, she's like, ew, gross.
She thinks that's just adorbs.
Yeah, she does. Not at first, but...
Well, it's like old people kissing you.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but I thought you would like that scene. Yeah. Because I know you're into that.
Well, hey, I'm all about the Coulson and May.
But I think it's a kiss of death. I'm all about
the Felinda.
I think that is his last ditch effort.
Could be.
Thing.
I'm not saying it might not be. It definitely could be.
It's just another nail in his coffin.
Unless it's a red herring.
I guess.
We'll find out.
And I think Mac might bite it next week.
Or here's the twist: Coulson survives, but May gets wiped out along with half of the universe. Dun dun dun.
That could happen too.
That could happen, and it might.
Yeah, it might.
Just
the only two that live, Fitz and Simmons.
Just remember, there's a Whedon in charge of the show.
I know. Yeah, Whedonverse. Anytime there's a Whedonverse, there's...
Nobody will be happy.
I know. Fitz and Simmons and Deke live. And that's it.
Like...
And how did you like...
Fitz could disappear.
How did you like his line, I'm the same age as my grandparents?
That was okay.
In this episode. You don't like Deke.
I don't like Deke. I think he's
love
annoying.
him.
I'm like everybody else's reaction on the show with Deke.
He's like him in this episode.
He's annoying AF.
May liked him in this episode.
May's the only one. Nobody else likes him.
Coulson did too.
No.
He came and he saved them.
Doesn't matter.
He opened the door and they're like, okay, dun, 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 I'm here to save you.
And then Deke started talking and then that all went away.
It's not true. It's not true.
It's true. Search your feelings. You know it'd be true.
It's not.
It is.
He reprogrammed the missiles and he got the coordinates.
If he was like halfway competent, he would have done it.
Everything is barely on this show.
Well,
Charles,
still.
everything. Not still. And in fact, his grandparents didn't even barely cure Coulson. They didn't cure him at all. He barely got the rockets. He saved the day. Deke saved the day. You can shake your head all you want. Deke is awesome.
Nope.
Deke is awesome. Okay, so anyway, what I was saying is Deke and May are left on the weird ship out in space to
the Kree ship.
Right, to reprogram the rockets trajectory instead of firing at the lighthouse to hit the ship itself. And then they
all did a big, like, May and Deke are like, see ya.
Yep.
And they teleport away and then the commander or whatever is just all like, you idiots, you've killed us.
Yep. Pretty much. Now, does that mean Casillas's father is dead too?
Unless he already had, like, gave birth to him in the future.
Oh, that could be, yeah.
Before.
Damn it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Darn it.
That would be an interesting way to, like, fix that timeline problem, but...
It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that happens.
But think about it. He just could have had, like, created him or whatever. We don't even know if they, like, have sex. They just maybe artificially create, like, on Krypton or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
It's up in the air.
Gross.
There's a way around it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're blue.
Yeah, they're blue. What do they know? They got blue. They're blue with like lots of way too much eye makeup.
Shush now. Look at my grade.
I know. They've overdosed the smoky eye. Let's just put it that way.
That's my grade. Did I miss anything talking about it?
Let's see what else.
Other than Deke is the hero of the show?
Deke is not the hero of the show.
Yes,
he is the villain of the show.
He loves Zima.
I'm waiting for like Graviton to come by and like fold him up into a nice little ball.
No, not going to happen.
And throw
Deke
him away.
is the only one that survives.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about the absorbing man.
Right.
Because Talbot shows up. He stops by the Carl Crusher Creel. You know, the guy who fought Daredevil in the ring, which nobody seems to mention for some weird reason.
Because Daredevil's on Netflix.
Even though there are posters about it.
Daredevil's on Netflix.
Just saying. They're both supposed to be in the same cinematic universe.
It's still on Netflix.
Doesn't matter. Should mention it.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, he stops by Creel and basically says, join with me.
I can take the voices in your head away.
Yeah, I can take that away from you. And first he gives him a little taste and he's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. And then he says,
and then
this next part's not going to be quite as good.
Next part's not good because he hoovers him right up.
Yeah. And now we know what that drawing that Robin did was with the person and then little people inside.
Yeah.
The little stick people inside the body.
Yeah. So essentially Graviton keeps collecting people in his body.
Yep.
Absorbing them.
So now he has the absorbing man.
Yes, which is that's my grade. Come on.
I didn't say it.
Okay. Fair enough.
I just said he has him.
Yep.
Okay, so what is your grade?
My grade is 8.5 absorbing men. Because that's what happened.
Which I like.
The absorbing man got absorbed himself.
Yes, he did.
It's irony.
Absorption.
Yes. I was thoroughly absorbed watching this.
It was a great episode. I give it 8.5 tons of Casillas family guy liner.
Graviton brought out the quicker picker-upper.
Yes, he did. Right up.
Yep.
Yeah, they have to have this big pot of guy liner because he uses it like he's got it like all over the left and the right and up and down all over. He doesn't use guy liner. He uses like spray paint, like on Blade Runner. Yeah,
like Daryl Hannah in Blade Runner.
Yeah, he does kind of. Although it's more artful than that.
Right. Well, then he
has designs.
After he sprays then he probably details it with a detail pencil.
Okay.
And then just goes does the whole kiss thing. And
there you go. Kiss.
He kind of looks like Peter Criss.
That's the name. Kiss will make you look insane.
That's so funny.
That's
I wanna rock and roll all night.
I was doing the Kiss Army song.
And get blown up by my own missiles.
Yeah, see?
That's pretty much how it happens.
So yeah, he had way too much guy. And he had also a white patch on his forehead, like a triangle.
It was a weird look.
Yeah, it was a really weird look. I don't get it. I mean, is that like a standard marking, or was that him like drawing on himself?
I don't know. Part of me would like to think the rest of the Kree just kind of ignores this part of the Kree, and they're like, there's not us.
Yeah.
We don't agree.
We don't associate with the manscapers.
We're not down with exactly. We're not down with the guy liner crowd.
Okay.
We're not team guy liner.
Okay, good.
All right.
Because I wasn't into. But yeah, I like this episode very much.
Hopefully, the Kree are cooler in the Captain Marvel movie.
I hope so.
Because they're in it. They should be, because that's part of Captain Marvel's origin.
I think they're going to look better.
I hope so.
Well, that's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie.
They better look better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good episode.
So those were our episodes for the week. Do we have any feedback?
We do not have feedback. I know.
Guys, I know we've been off for a while, so...
The following program contains coarse language and nudity. Viewer discretion is advised.
I'm nude right now.
No, you're not. I can see you.
Okay. You just blew my whole mystique.
Come on.
Okay.
Speaking of blooming groups.
Nobody wants to see that anyway, so...
That's not true.
Yep.
But don't lie.
Okay.
All
right.
So, no feedback this week. However...
guys, write in.
If you do want to get in touch with us, you can write us at fandomzonecast@gmail.com.
At the Gmail.
Or you can get in touch with us at Fandom Zone Podcast on Facebook by going to facebook.com/Fandom Zone Podcast, or just searching for us there.
Right.
And we are on the Twitter machine at Fandom Zone Cast.
Yep.
And you can listen and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review there. We'll read that on the air as well. So, 5 stars, that would be good, I think. Yeah.
We'll take 5, but just be honest. We're
sure.
We would if you want to give us the high rating, that would be great.
Sure.
We would not turn that down, but you don't have to do that.
No.
It would be nice if you did, though.
Well, I'd like to think that we do a good job. So.
Yeah, hopefully you're entertained.
Yeah. How could they not be? We're insane.
That would help. That does help, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, that does. All right. So, Karen, where can they get in touch with you?
They can find me. They can. I don't know why I can't talk today.
That's okay.
I'm in a mood today.
You're in an understandable mood today.
Okay, thank you.
You're allowed.
So they can find me on the Twitter machine at Aleveria, ALEVERIA, or at Allie's_stuff.
Easy for you to say.
Right?
Right.
And
you're rusty. We got to get back in the swing.
Yeah. And there is a link in my bio that will take you to my blog. And the page that you land on there will have all my other links.
All right. And as for me, I'm at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram, at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine. We'd definitely appreciate you checking me out there. Or there's Google Plus for you crazy kids with Google Plus. And Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs. And my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Nope.
Were you going to do the Dual Spires theme?
Cider.
Oh, okay. That's a leftover from our Ghostwood discussion.
Yeah, damn fine cider.
Damn fine cup of cider.
That's a damn fine cup of cider.
There you go.
That's not as good of a blog title, though.
No,
as
I
Damn
know.
Good Coffee and Hot.
But I had it still on here, so I thought I'd play it.
That was from the site.
So your blog's name is
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I talk about all the shows that we talk about here on the Phantom Zone podcast and more.
And more.
Can't forget the and more. Maybe one less show to talk about on the Phantom Zone podcast because Lucifer's gone.
And maybe more.
Hopefully not more.
Because Bloodbath.
But we did have a good news that iZombie got picked up for season 5.
Such good news. Oh, we do have one other show that is gone. The Inhumans.
Well, yeah, but is anybody really surprised that the Inhumans was canceled?
No, did you see that I tweeted, someone said Inhumans are canceled, and I tweeted with comment, and I put, because duh.
The Inhumans was probably canceled after the second episode.
Yeah. Boy, it was bad.
Yeah.
So, I was so glad it was canceled.
I'm kind of disappointed because that's going to discourage people from making a good Inhumans project.
Gifted?
For a good while. Yeah, but that's... we'll see.
Yeah. Gifted, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they both have Inhumans on them, so...
Right, but...
I know what you're saying.
This was the proper Inhumans.
I know.
And they blew it.
Big time.
You blew it.
You blew it.
You blew it. Yeah, so...
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
But I'm glad that they canceled it because at least they're not just keeping it on to keep it on. Right?
Yeah. So come back with something better.
Yeah.
maybe we'll watch it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look at all the times they tried to do other things with comic book properties, and then they finally got it right.
Yes.
So, we'll
figure it out.
We're good. There's a lot of comic book stuff on right now.
I know. So. Well, there's going to be as much.
There's still plenty.
There's still plenty, yes, I agree. All right. Otherwise, thanks everybody for listening to the Phantom Zone podcast. We really appreciate you.
We do.
And we'd love to hear from you, so please drop us a line. Mm-hmm. And anything else, Karen, before we head out?
Just make sure to get in contact and tell Charles how wrong he is about Deke.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
Right. Justina, write in. Do something.
Yeah. Justina, we're back, so...
We miss you, so hopefully drop us a line. Let us know how you're doing.
Yep.
And as always, keep my mom in your thoughts.
Please.
If you would.
Please.
So, talked about that more last time. I won't dwell on it, but please keep her in your thoughts. I'd appreciate it.
Yep.
So, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time right here, Phantom Zone Podcast. Out. Deke sucks.
Not.
Way.